talk all you want about how tough our schedule is. We can beat literally anyone.
To be clear.
And that is, I mean, on the road at Arrowhead Stadium with Andy Reid coming off a bye,
to be
he
clear.
never loses.
They're not playing their best football right now, and they're still winning. And that is really what's scary to me. And it's what's scary to me about the Eagles last year, because it was the same conversation. They're not winning in this fashion. They're not throwing the ball enough. They're not beating teams bad enough. Who have they played? None of it mattered, and they ended up in the Super Bowl.
If the Eagles don't win the Super Bowl this year, their future could be catastrophic because of these 3 reasons that nobody's talking about. Super Bowl caliber teams require the perfect blend of talent to be successful. A talented quarterback, elite receivers in their prime, great coaching, a stubborn defense, and trenches packed with experience on both sides of the football. The Philadelphia Eagles are in their Super Bowl or bust window right now. And if they don't hoist the Lombardi Trophy at the end of this season, things could start to decline, and quickly. The time for the Philadelphia Eagles is to win now. Any great NFL franchise starts with the quarterback, and there are very few exceptions. Even if the team is led by a phenomenal defense, the quarterback still needs to manage the game effectively in order to help the team succeed. The Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts in the 2nd round of the 2020 NFL Draft, having impressed at both Alabama and Oklahoma. Concerns about his accuracy as a pure passer caused teams to pass on him until Philly were on the clock with the 53rd overall pick, and a new era began with Jalen Hurts as the franchise quarterback. He quickly proved himself capable, and the Eagles took action in surrounding him with talent in what felt like a window to win. However, anytime your team feels like they've found their franchise quarterback, things can get pretty expensive. Jalen Hurts was originally on a 2nd round deal, and the team can spend in other areas to build a winning roster, as do most teams with a rookie contract. I mean, look at the Bengals. They did the exact same thing to help build around Joe Burrow while he was on his rookie contract. But soon enough, the quarterback's going to need a new deal. And in this quarterback market, it's a pretty penny, or $500 million. In April of 2023, Hurts signed a 5-year, $255 million deal with $110 million guaranteed. Not only is that an insane contract, but it also means that his contract is only going to increase over the next 5 years. More cap spent on the quarterback means less cap spent elsewhere, and eventually, sacrifices are going to have to be made. I mean, look at the Kansas City Chiefs. Any team in the NFL would love to have Tyreek Hill, including the Chiefs. He was ready for a new deal, but the Chiefs were paying Patrick Mahomes a pretty small fortune and couldn't afford to bump Hill's contract numbers enough to meet his requirements. Miami, on the other hand, hadn't yet committed to a new deal for quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, and traded for Hill and immediately granted him the new contract he was looking for. Jalen Hurts' cap hit will rise to $13 million in 2024, then $21 million in 2025, $31 million in 2026, and a whopping $45 million in 2027. And honestly, they're pretty smart because they did end up backloading this contract so that way they could have more flexible spending in this season and the seasons before his last year. But I mean, still, at the back end of this contract, it's going to force the Eagles to have to let some guys leave. Winning right now is an absolute must for the Eagles. And I mean, the way that they've been playing right now, honestly, they might win the whole thing. Philly has taken down Miami, Dallas, and the Kansas City Chiefs and are steamrolling their way through the league on a mission to claim the Lombardi. Despite losing both of their offensive and defensive coordinators during the offseason, the Eagles appear to be tracking better this year. Jalen Hurts has thrown 15 touchdowns through the Eagles' first 10 games, and his connection with A.J. Brown has been developing more and more as the year has gone on. Last season, Brown transformed the Eagles' offense, and this year, he flew over 1,000 yards in just 10 games played, as one of the NFL's top 2 wide receivers. The changes at running back have proven to be a great fit for the offense too, with DeAndre Swift contributing both as a runner and a pass catcher in 2023. And don't get me wrong, everybody was a little scared at the beginning of this year in week 1 after he only got 1 carry, but since then, he's on track to clear 1,000 yards by the end of November. Philly seems to have all the weapons they need on offense, and despite being without Dallas Goedert, this offense looks like it is full of weapons wins and honestly can make another Super Bowl run. But what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comment section below, and I want to hear what you guys think. Not only on offense do they have a new offensive coordinator, but the same with the defense as well too. Super Bowl teams are the first to have their coordinators and coaches poached for promotional roles with other teams. Now, when you look at this list of free agents, honestly, it's kind of scary. The Eagles just aren't going to be able to pay everybody on this list, and they're eventually going to have to let some of these guys walk. Kelsey, Cox, and Graham have all been critical pieces of this Eagles team for the last decade, winning the Super Bowl with the team at the end of the 2018 season, and each of those guys has been on the brink of retirement for multiple years now.
This was definitely the hardest one, the closest one I came to retiring, but I think part of that too is like I almost just, on some levels, I feel like I should just retire.
Jason Kelsey signed a new one-year deal for the 2023 season, contemplating retirement for the second straight year before returning to the team to take another swing at winning the Super Bowl. Having come so close last year, he noted that retiring wasn't really an option, sensing that the Eagles are so close to winning another Super Bowl. And don't even get me started on Kelsey. He isn't just a decent center. This dude is a future Hall of Famer. He orchestrates the Eagles offense from one of its most important positions. He's a timeless offensive lineman who has been crucial to the organization for years, both as a pass blocker, run blocker, and a guy who is effectively an offensive coach out on the field. Replacing his Hall of Fame caliber talent on the field is one thing. Replacing his leadership, intelligence, and locker room presence is another, and his absence will be undoubtedly felt when it's time to walk away. He's not the only one though. Fletcher Cox turns 33 years old during the 2023 season, and he too is on a one-year deal attempting to claim one last Super Bowl before he hangs it up and retires. Brandon Graham is on the same deal, one-year contract, hoping to close out his career in Philly with a Super Bowl championship. I mean, imagine if you can send these three guys off with one more Super Bowl. And that's all just this coming off season. If you look even further and go one more offseason ahead, it gets even scarier. Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat, the newly acquired Kevin Byard, Avonte Maddox, Landon Dickerson, Reed Blankenship, Jake Elliott, and more will all become free agents. We're not naive to the fact that every team deals with these circumstances every season, but there are teams who believe their time to win is now and go all in to do so. I mean, when you're going in, you're going to need draft capital. It's going to take time to rebuild. And honestly, clearing house is not an uncommon thing to do when you're going all in. Look at the Los Angeles Rams. We've not seen a franchise go all in like they did in a long time. They brought in superstars from across the league and shipped out just about every draft pick they had to do it.
Saturday night, as a blockbuster deal has just gone down between the Rams and the Lions that will send Matthew Stafford to the Rams in exchange for 2 first-rounders, a third-rounder, and Jared Goff.
Jalen Ramsey has been traded to the Los Angeles Rams.
Odell Beckham Jr. just texted Kim Jones Rams. Los Angeles Rams, who have no cap space and have loaded up already, are loading up even more by adding multi-year Pro Bowler Von Miller.
And to nobody's surprise, their method worked. The Rams won the Super Bowl that year, and then they ripped apart that roster. I mean, some of these situations that the Eagles and that Rams team have are damn near identical. I mean, look at Andrew Whitworth. He was a leader of that offensive line and of that team. And as the confetti was falling, he too retired on the spot. Von Miller left, Odell Beckham left, Jalen Ramsey was traded to the Miami Dolphins, and the Rams went back to their roots and started to rebuild in the draft. And don't get me wrong, I know the Eagles aren't immune to that exact same fate, but eventually when you get that many Pro Bowlers on one roster, they're going to want to get paid. And when you have a contract like Jalen Hurts's, there's only so much money that can go around in the salary cap. I mean, take for instance, look at the Kevin Byard trade. Recognizing that they were short in the secondary, Eagles GM Howie Roseman went out hunting for reinforcements. The 2-time first-team All-Proer now has a chance to compete for a Super Bowl and help the Eagles win. And speaking of the Super Bowl, one way that you can win the Super Bowl is by joining my Discord to join our exclusive giveaway that we are doing right now until this Sunday. So make sure that you join by clicking the link down below, and make sure you join our members page so that way you can get exclusive shout outs like this. You guys gotta take him down. He's won every single time. Somebody else has to be a different first comment than VR the Dill. You guys gotta beat him. You gots to. Also, shout out to my boy Covey for coming in second. You were close. You also did have the 9th, 10th, 12th, and 30th comment, I think, too. So shout out to you. But if you would also like exclusive winning picks like this and also a chance to be in our giveaway, make sure you join our Discord below and you will have many more opportunities. It's a great addition for the team and certainly an upgrade in the secondary, but the deal will only last for the rest of the 2023 season and one more year. Byard is 30 years old and will hit free agency at 31. You can bet your ass he'll be looking to get one last payday for a defensive back in his 30s. Darius Slay's deal is the same. Right now, he holds the second highest cap hit on the roster. He's a 32-year-old corner with veteran experience who can help the team win right now. His deal actually runs until the end of the 2025 season, but when you look into it, there is absolutely no way that he is going to stick around. At the conclusion of the 2024 season, the Eagles have an out on the Darius Slay deal. They can pay him or choose to release him post June 1st to save $15 million on the cap. And by the time that comes around, he's going to be 34 years old, and in cornerback years, that's almost like 70. So I doubt the Eagles are going to want to take that $14 million cap hit. The key to remaining at an elite level year after year is developing and replenishing talent as certain positions age. The Eagles have done that incredibly well, and that could mean that some of these issues are not as grand as they may seem. Landon Dickerson is poised to take over at center when Jason Kelce does in fact retire. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, and company will be the future generation on the defense when Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, and the others do hang it up. And the defensive backs like Josh Jobe and Sidney Brown, honestly, they don't look too great, but maybe they'll develop and they can take on bigger roles when spots do open up. But there is still no doubt that the Eagles could continue to be a great franchise for a very long time if they do figure things out. But their time to win now has never been more promising.